Hello, it is that crazy straw guy back at it again in Not My Shoe Closet. I decided to migrate over to a new room because it was currently unoccupied, so we're going to do a review in here. As you can see, I have a setup lamp. That's pretty cool, so you can perfectly see the cards compared to the dark, really not very well lit up shoe closet that I usually reside in. But hey, I got lucky today, so we're just going to go right into the archetype. Today, we're going to be talking about the Netfist archetype. I know we just talked about big birds, but we're moving back in with this fire phoenix that seems to have a bone to pick with basically all of your back row. As you can see, this is the cover card of the archetype, Sacred Phoenix of Nephthys. Now, this is actually a very old card that got released like way back. It was actually a cover card for an entire set. And basically has an effect that once per turn, during your next standby phase, after this card was destroyed by card effect and sent to the grave, you can special summon this card from the graveyard, and if you do, destroy all spells and trap cards on the field. This includes literally all the back row, and even the field spells. So this is a pretty cool idea, but nobody really had any solid ways of, getting it out. There was Hand of Nephthys, but it didn't destroy it, it's special summoned by tributing 2 monsters. But now we do with the new archetype. For the hidden summoners. This archetype went into a pretty interesting idea of going into ritual monsters for this archetype. And, I think it was executed well. It still, resides of what the idea of, Sacred Phoenix of Nephthys was. Which is shown with the first 4 monsters, which are all level 2 spellcaster win monsters. Darn you, I guess I can't run goes in match, but whatever. All of these are Disciple of Netfist, Defender of Netfist, Matriarch of Netfist, and Chronicler of Netfist. They all have effects that once per turn you can destroy 1 card in your hand to add a Netfist monster from your deck to your hand, special summon a level 4 or lower Netfist monster from your hand to your side of the field, special summon a level 4 lower Netfist from the graveyard, and add a Netfist card from your graveyard to your hand. These are all pretty solid effects, I'd say, except for Chronicler. Basically enables you to swarm the field and search. They also have effects that activate during your standby phase, during your next standby phase, if they were destroyed by a card effect. Surprise, surprise, all of these destroy with card effects. Disciple adds a Netfist spell or trap card from your deck to your hand. Defender destroys a Netfist card in your deck, sending it to the grave, so destroy in order to rekindle the cycle. Matriarch special summons itself from the graveyard, and Chronicler does the exact same thing, adding a Netfist card from your graveyard to your hand. Overall, I'd say the Disciple is worth running at 3. Having constant searches is really cool, and that 2000 defense can really be good for just creating a wall during your first few turns if your opponent is not starting off extremely fast. Defender and Matriarch could be argued as 2 good cards. Defender is good at the early game, but Matriarch is good during the late game when you want to recur. So it really depends on what you're feeling. I personally think Defender is better because she does have 1400 attack, but Matriarch does special summon from the grave and just generally gives you a whole bunch of monsters to go into your link summons. Chronicler is definitely the best. You can't deny it. Adding a card from your graveyard to your hand is cool, but all these other cards basically do, get those cards for you. Why waste resources on getting a card that you use during next standby phase when you can have it already? But whatever. You can run them depending on what you think. Disciple is obviously at 3. Defender and Matriarch really depends on what you're feeling. But Chronicler, I personally don't like to run her. The only reason I do is because I don't have all the cards for the archetype. But overall, I think this is really a unique set of cultists for this group. We, of course, gotta move on to the ritual monsters, which is the entire selling point of the deck. First up, we have Devotee of Nephthys. Sorry for moving the mat. Devotee of Nephthys basically can be ritual summoned with Rebirth of Nephthys, and you can use each effect of Devotee once per turn. When it's ritual summoned, you get to special summon a Nephthys monster from your deck to your side of the field, but destroyed during the end phase. With the end phase of this turn, destroy this card, As well, if it's in the graveyard, you can destroy my Nephthys card in your hand and then special summon it to your side of the field. So obviously this card is used for a lot of swarming. All of your monsters are level 2, so they will suffice for the ritual. You can also use Manjune if you summon it in order to search out either this or the ritual spell. And basically this enables you to go right into your links. You know, Sacred Preserver is the great example of that, if I could find him. Here it is. Link 2. Basically, just summon this guy out, and then special summon from the deck, and then you basically have an instant preserver, and that's pretty good for the archetype, having a constant access to link summon through only one card. I also think that its graveyard effect is pretty useful for renewing the cycles. Any cards in your hand are instantly destroyed, and then you also get this card on the field again, so you can always go into some high link plays. And then the final ritual monster in your deck is Cerulean, Sacred Phoenix, and Netfist. This card is really cool. I really like the artwork of it. It can ritual summon with Rebirth of Netfist, and when it's ritual summoned, it gains the following effects. You can use them once per turn. During your main phase, you can destroy any number of Netfist cards in your hand or on the field that are face up, and then destroy an equal number of monsters your opponent controls, which is basically just a gigantic field clear and enables you to renew everything in your hand or on the field. Sorry. It also, during your next standby phase, after this card is sent to the graveyard by battle or by card effect, it special summons itself back from the graveyard. It doesn't wipe the entirety of back row like its brother, but you know, it does have the destruction effect during the standby phase, and it's just a giant 3k body that cannot be removed by conventional means. So I think this is definitely a good boss monster from the deck. Speaking of rituals, here we are moving on to the spells, and going to move on to the ritual spell. Rebirth of Netfist is a ritual spell that can ritual summon any Netfist monster, ritual monster of course, and you know, the usual thing requiring equal levels to that monster's level. And if you attributed Cerulean, Sacred Phoenix, or Devotee of Netfist for cost of this card, you can destroy one card on the field, which is pretty solid if you start the hand off with 2 Devotees, and this basically enables you to get an insta-pop if your opponent does not negate the initial ritual summon. So that's pretty cool. I think this card's really good. Not like Gishki levels of ritual, but definitely run it in the deck, or else you're not getting out your rituals. Well, that's an obvious thing, but still. And then finally we have Last Hope of Netfist, the final spell card. You target one Netfist card and you control, and one card your opponent controls, destroy them. Is once per turn. It is, I guess, a good way to get rid of back row if you don't have your big boss monsters just yet. But it also helps you affiliate with all of your smaller wee little ladies like Disciple and Matriarch and such. And then for the final main deck Netfist card, onto the traps. Awakening the Netfist is a continuous trap, which is pretty interesting. It makes all Netfist monsters you control gain 300 attack, and if it's face up on the field and destroyed by a card effect and sent to the graveyard, you could special summon one Netfist monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard but destroyed during the end phase. Usually what you're going to be summoning out with this is the Sacred Phoenix in Netfist, and when it gets destroyed, you bring it back and wipe the entire board. So yeah, that's pretty good. I think this card is mildly underrated. Of course, you have to wait an entire turn just to flip it over. I think it would have been a whole lot better, and people would run it more consistently if it was a continuous spell instead of a continuous trap. But I'm not a card game designer, so whatever. Moving on to the extra deck, we have 2 Netfist monsters. One of them is obviously meant for the archetype. Netfist, the Sacred Preserver, requires 2 Netfist monsters. The arrows point down and to the bottom right. And if it's link summon, you can use each of the following effects once per turn. It can add a level 8 Wing Beast monster from your deck to your hand. Then you can add 1 ritual spell from your graveyard to your hand, and that's generic, so you don't only have to add in Rebirth. You can add in anything if you splash this deck in with other archetypes. As well, you can destroy 1 Netfist monster this card points to and special summon a Netfist monster with a different name, with a different original name from your graveyard, but its effects are negated. So I don't really see the use for the second effect, but the first effect is definitely really good. I guess the second one can be used to re-affiliate cards if you summon out 0 attack Disciple in attack position. You don't want to be hit by that much damage. You can destroy that and then get out something else in defense position. And then for the final card, this isn't exactly a Netfist card. I mean, of course it has Netfist in its name, but it's more affiliated with rituals in general. It doesn't require specifically Netfist monsters. It requires 3 monsters, obviously, because it's 2 monsters, including 1 ritual monster, and it gains certain effects depending on how many ritual monsters used for it. If you use 1 ritual monster, it can't be destroyed by battle. If you use 2, it can't be destroyed by card effects, and it also gains 1200 attack. And if you use 3, which is asking a lot, neither player can target this card with card effects, also it gains another 1200 attack. So if you're able to get 3 whole ritual monsters on your side of the field, and then use them all for 1 big guy, and he's not negated on the summon or nothing, he is a big 4800 that cannot be destroyed by battle card effect, and cannot even be targeted by card effects. So, I mean, I guess it's a cool payoff, but it's not like Boral's Sword, where, you basically go into the OTK. It's still a gigantic beat stick, don't get me wrong, can be destroyed by battle and such, but it's not really a large payoff, as I'd expect, a lot of archetypes to be. And rituals cost a whole bunch to get out. You're basically wasting 3 cards in your hand just to summon out a ritual, unless you use conventional methods like Ritual Forgone. But wasting all that resource for a big 3 link point beater, I don't really see the practicality in that. Anyways, that's the entirety of the Nephthys archetype. I really think this archetype is cool. It's very splashable with any decks that base themselves on destruction, like True Kings, Fire Kings, and even Dinos. And I really like the artwork of it, and I like its theme. Of course, it's not any meta deck, but overall, I'd give it a 3 out of 5 for the fun factor, and I guess a 2 out of 5 for the consistency factor. You can brick very easily with this deck, but once you start off your plays, it's very hard to stop you, especially when you start cleaning off the entire board. Now, this has been That Crazy Straw Guy. I'll see you next time when we're going to be reviewing the Mayakashis. Bye-bye.